Yeah.
Okay. So the new chapter that we're doing is Kuf Chav Chet, Lak Tu Lechem Mishneh, which is Yom Shishi Ma'ached Es Kedushas HaShabbos Al Im Yemos HaChol. The sixth day unites the sanctity of Shabbos with the days of Chol. This in here we touched upon it earlier, the concept of Tosefes Shabbos, that we have this window in which we introduce Shabbos early. What is the relationship between the Chol and the Shabbos, which is highlighted in Kiddush, it's highlighted in Havdalah certainly, and that's the role of Friday. In Israel, Friday is a day off, and Israel Friday is a day to prepare for Shabbos, and really for us in the diaspora, it's a challenge, right? Thursday night, we try to do Friday. This Friday is the day you can get haircuts according to Ashkenazi custom because it's it's Erev Rosh Chodesh Shabbos. Whenever Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh coincide ER, you're allowed to cut your hair earlier on the Friday. It happens to be Rosh Chodesh also on Friday, but yeah. It highlights the idea that Friday is a preparatory step for Shabbos. In general, we don't have fast days on Friday unless it's a Sarah Davis. And that's all because we're not supposed to go into Shabbos or starving or Shabbos with the status of Avelis. Okay. Al pasuk ra'u ki Hashem nasan lachem Shabbos. See that Hashem is giving you the Shabbos. Omrim Chazal. There's a medrash in Yalkut Shimoni. Kol as iska shel Shabbos kaful. Everything with Shabbos is double. Omer kaful. Shnei ha'omer le'echad. Korbanam kaful. V'yom Shabbos shnei kvasim. On Shabbos 2 kvasim. On shea kaful. The punishment is doubled. Mechalel yemos yumas. He shall surely die. Mos yumas is a double language. Schara kaful. And the reward is double. The karas l'Shabbos oneg l'kidosh Hashem mechubad. So we see that there's a double element to the bracha. And then azhara sakaful. And the warning is double. Zachor v'shamor. Remember and guard. Mizmora kaful, mizmor shir liyom Shabbos, right? It's not just shir liyom Shabbos or mizmor liyom Shabbos, it's mizmor shir, right? So you see there's a double language by every facet, every aspect of Shabbos. Becomes that gam nikfa b'halacha levarech levitzoa b'Shabbos alechem mishneh b'chol suda. As a result, there's an inyan to have lechem mishneh at every meal. It means double bread, right? Torah says beis kikaros. We break bread on 2 loaves. They collected on Friday double because the man didn't fall on Shabbos. Instead, it would fall double portion on Friday. They collect double portion. We commemorate this. Or halacha lakachas shtei kikaros. The halacha is to take 2 loaves. Shabbos ulezecher inyan shel lechem mishnah shayabedman shachum midbar. Commemorate the lechem mishnah that was realized through the miracle of the man in the midbar. And now he wants to know, L'chora zehu davar tamua. This is strange to us. We have to understand. And also lechem mishnah, amar b'Torah. When the Torah tells us about a double loaves of bread, nemar legabe yom hashishi. It said regarding Thursday, not Shabbos. Friday, rather, not Shabbos. So it's not an Indian of Shabbos. Shechol yom shishi yirde hashamayim kamot kefula shelman avor yom Shabbos for Friday and Shabbos. So every other aspect we just mentioned about Shabbos is the warning, punishment, the reward, etc. All of that in the song, all that is Shabbos. The only part that we talk about double being not part of Shabbos is the man, which is actually before Shabbos. And it's commemorated on Shabbos with 2 loaves of bread at the meal. So he wants to understand. Shilman, Avor Yom HaShishi Shabbos. Mehecha Novea. Eifal Minag Le'echol Lechem Mishnah Shabbos. Why do we have a custom to eat Lechem Mishnah on Shabbos? Hari b'Shabbos Asma Lo Aisa B'Kol Kefilos. There was no double bread or double man on Shabbos. Gam Im HaMinag Haya Lechol Lechem Mishnah B'Yom HaShishi Kushya Zu Aisa Kasha. Ach Al HaMinag Lechol B'Shabbos Lechem Mishnah Kasha O Yoser. The custom to do so is difficult. They never ate double bread on Shabbos. They ate one on Friday, they ate one on Shabbos. So what are we commemorating on Shabbos? Okay, it's another question, right? Ela echad achlu yom shishi ve'echad b'Shabbos. They ate one man on Friday. The other one they ate on Shabbos. Zoe lich ora koshatzuma. This is a question. Question. Okay, so everyone understand the question?
I don't see why there's four Shabbos.
Yes.
So it wasn't doubled on Friday because he did it on Friday, it was doubled.
It was doubled, so you have
So
one.
how would you on Shabbos?
You would commemorate by preparing your food before Shabbos. Is what we do. Right. So what's with the double loaf? Why do we do that anyway? Right. Even though if you were like a holy tzaddik, the man would fall on your doorstep. Or a little less, you'd have to walk a little bit and further away, right?
Oh,
Yeah. So the amount of effort you had to put in was.
everybody was.
I'm just here to help my neighbor. It's not my bread. It's not me. So there is an answer that we can give al derech hapshat. We can give a deeper level also. Talmud kan yisod gadol b'Torah bior huso amiuchedet shel yom hashishi. It's a profound yisod here about the essence of the Friday, not just Shabbos itself. We're learning something important about Friday. That's a pasuk in Divrei Yamim, and we say that when we take out the Torah. To you, Hashem is greatness, it's might, splendor, victory, glory. I'm just translating the words as various midos are usually translated. For in all of heaven and earth is your kingdom. We have in here, by the way, the different aspects of Hashem. We have Chesed, Dula, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yisod. We didn't list here, and then Mamlacha, Malchus. Anyway, so most of them here. Limdono akadmonim kikanik suvos sheva hamidos shel hanhagos hakadosh baruch hu. Here you have the seven. Oh, here we go. The seven attributes of Hashem: Gedul is Chesed, Gvura is Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Nida, Shishis, Yesod. That's Gichol B'Shamayim V'Aretz. So Yosef Atzadik. Each one is parallel to a different shepherd. Ma'ativa shel hanhagazu. What is the nature of this? Gichol B'Shamayim V'Aretz. The Zohar writes, the Achid, the Shemaya, Uve'ara, that he's one in heaven and earth. Amida Shishis Machadas Shamayim V'Aretz. What is the seventh midah? To unite the heaven and the earth, right? The seventh midah, as we're describing, is that Hashem is one, heaven and earth. That it's not a contradiction. God in heaven is God on earth. It's the same God that operates as well. Yisod literally means foundation, right? And you're thinking of Sorah maybe tradition, right? But Yisod is foundation, like the Yisodot of a building or the foundations of a building. Also, we talk about Yisod or Sod as being in Kabbalistic language is Kiddushat Brit. Sort of Yosef's ability to stay clear of Eshet Potiphar, that's Sod, and that's the Kabbalistic aspect. And if you look at the way the midot, the seven attributes fall out in the body, it's like almost a body, right? You have the right arm is Chesed, left arm is Gvura. Yisod is also below the belt, sort of chastity, a person's ability to stay pure in that respect. So that's Yisod represents, but Yisod also means foundation. It's the foundation of a person. So these are different physical attributes that are also spiritual attributes that God manifests himself in this world and through which we experience Hashem. So when you experience might, you experience Hashem. When you experience kindness, you experience godliness. And when we bring those midos in a good way, right? When you give someone who doesn't have structure, you give them might, gvura, maybe some needed rebuke, what you're doing is actually bringing godliness into their life. So it's also part of it. Anyway, Yemei HaShavua Mechulakim, and the days of the week are divided. 7 midos. So what is the 6th day? That's Yesod, 6th midah. Friday, therefore, is uniting the Chol, the weekday, with Friday night, which is Shabbos Kodesh. So, what is the Muvan Shel Ichud Hashamayim Va'aretz? What does it really mean to unite the heaven and the earth, to unite Chol and Kodesh? And this is where we get into more Kabbalistic ideas. Yeshno Musag Shel Shutfos. There is a partnership. There's a relationship that we have. L'dugma, Adam Bal Esek Mevakesh Limchor Mutzar Mesuyam. A person who has a business wants to sell a particular creation, widget. Shem kachu lokech la'atzmo shutaf. So what does he do? Take for themselves a business partner. Oved beit. Is that? Mm-hmm. In the city of Bnei Brak. Shutfa b'Yushalayim. He has a partner in Jerusalem. So v'chodesh osem sikum. Then what do? They have the 2 stores. They make a summary. They look at what they've earned. They divide the profits evenly. Nimsa shashutav shagar b'Bnei Brak herviach gam me'asakim shenasu b'Yushalayim. Shagar b'Yushalayim herviach gam me'asakim shenasu b'Bnei Brak. Each one benefits from the sales that took place in the other one. That's how a partnership works. Kish mis'ach in Ruvain yesh es shel Ruvain v'Shimon. Reuven has Reuven and Shimon's part. Shimon yesh es shel Shimon v'Reuven. Ach shalom mitachtim. They don't get together. The Reuven yesh et shel Reuven and Shimon et shel Shimon. If they don't join together, then Shimon keeps Shimon's profits and Reuven keeps Reuven's profits. Olam yesh ruchnius agashmis. In this world, there's spirituality and there's physicality. Shamayim va'aretz, heaven and earth. Ve'hamarchik b'neim hu atzum. And the distance between these two is large, substantial. Ki gavo shamayim ma'aretz ken gavo darchem darchechem machshavosai machshavosechem. This is we read this on fast days. As the heavens are higher than the land and the earth, so too the ways of God are much taller, much more distant from your ways, and my thoughts, as God, are distant from your thoughts. Kedusha, kedusha, chulun, chulun. There's a big difference between the physical world and God's spiritual world. Okay. Amida mitachedet ben shamayim ve'aretz, and that which unites the heaven and the earth. Goremet lekach shamayim nasim shamayim ve'aretz. Ve'aretz nasis eretz shamayim. And so, to make a partnership, what do? You want Bnei Brak and Yerushalayim to be the same. Reuven and Shimon to have the same business. So, any enterprise, any effort that is going to unite the heaven and earth is going to make heaven and earth one and earth and heaven one. So what is that? So ruchnius and gashmius become a combination. They're one and the same. That is where you elevate the physical to a spiritual level, and they're united. Yom Shishi Yarad Lechem Mishnah Avor Shishi v'Shabbos. That's why on the Chol, on the weekday, bread fell down from Shemayim, or coriander seed that maybe we call it man, like a bread. It fell on Friday, and on behalf of Friday and Shabbos, and that's Im Kain Yom HaShishu Chol. Therefore, Friday, which is a weekday, Shabbos Kodesh, and Shabbos is Kodesh, is holy. Afuliot Shutum. They became partners in that respect because of the joint enterprise. Bread that fell one day, that was for the next day. Nimsa, it emerges Shiba Yom Shishi Achlu Chatzi Mehamana Akafula, that on Friday they ate one portion of the double portion of Shabbos Achlu is Chatzi Sheni. That's on a physical level what's going on here. Zoi Sod Shel Lechem Mishnah, that's Lechem Mishnah. Rak Shabbos Achlu Me'Lechem Mishnah Ela Gam Yom Shishi Achlu Et Achelag Me'Lechem Mishnah. What do we see? That Friday is infused with the same energy as Shabbos, and Shabbos has the energy of Friday. Two are partners. They only got one piece of bread. But talking about the bread that fell Friday morning. I'm talking about Shabbos one day, yeah.
The idea New.
Right. Preparation is not a technical dirty job you have to get through to get to the bliss. Preparation is
No.
Kodesh. Judaism preparation is Kodesh. And one of the proofs for that is Erev Shabbos preparation. So I think it's not just like, oh, you need to do it. Like I think was Ben Franklin's line, if you fail to prepare, you are preparing to fail, right?
Yeah,
That's the whole, it's more than that. It's not just that sort of a sequential gotta do one to get to the other. It's that preparation itself is Kodesh, right? Building your sukkah. There's a whole recitation that we say when we're about to do a mitzvah, Yiratzon, and we say, Hine Muchan Muzuman. The Kabbalists will say it. Rav Soloveitchik was against it. He felt it was silly. He says that's what brachas for. The Kabbalists will say, Hine Muchan Muzuman, L'kayim mitzvahs essay. I'm prepared, ready to fulfill a mitzvah. So the preparation of the mitzvah in Derech Hasidus is considered a holy act as well. So that's part of it. Okay. So what is now Mehuta Yehudim Midot Yesod? What is the essence of a Jew? It is Yesod. Is that Friday Midah? Yehudi Ochel Cholent. This is why, by the way, Kavuro, we're far away from Shabbos, is Tuesday, Wednesday. It's a distant moment from Shabbos. So we start to experience Kavura, which is the end of Tuesday, which is almost the furthest extent from Shabbos, right? So if you think about it, well, it could be it's Monday. Monday's Kavura? I don't know. But the point is that the midweek were the midos that are furthest away from Shabbos. So a Rebbe of mine once said you have to learn things that are spiritual in the middle of the week to pull you through. So Wednesday's good to have a shir. Okay. So when someone eats cholent, for instance, Shabbos ein ze rak ma'aseh gashmi, it's not a physical act. Ki b'Shabbos a gashmiyut, hi ruchnius, is hi gashmius, because all physical things become spiritual and vice versa. Meidach gam b'yom shishi, klamar b'yom hazachol yeshna chadira shel kedusha. There's a I don't know how you, there's a room to make holiness even on Friday. Yom shishu yom shel Shabbos Yom Shel Kodesh. Torah nene lanu et efsharut le'echad la'ached Yom Achol Yom Shabbos shezoi midas yesod. Torah gave us license, the ability to unite Shabbos in the weekday. That's yesod. Is me'achedet gashmi ruchni et l'chol shavua. Unites physical and spiritual. Now think about again the physical sign of the bris, and it's to a certain extent the most physical component of human existence or animalistic life, but it's also the mark of a spiritual of a Jew. From the time a baby's born, women don't eat it; they're naturally connected to Hashem. But that idea of Yesod is about being elevated, your physical body being elevated beyond just physical nefesh bahamios, of the animalistic urges. Shabbos ochlam lechem mishneh. Shabbos we eat the double portion. Echad or Shabbos, echad or Yom Chol. Wow! When you're eating your 2 loaves of bread on Shabbos, think about one is for Shabbos and one's for Chol. That's a new mentality. Perish adavar Shabbos yeshna gam ruchnis gam gashmis, because I'm going to have a spiritual existence in Shabbos, but I'm also have a physical existence in Shabbos, and both of them are elevated together. Yudi shalchol, when a Jew eats, it's a physical act. There's a spiritual component to eating. Yehudi Shalom Torah Zui Kedusha. Aval limud yesh gam hashpa gashmis. It's a physical element to learning. Your brain develops, your memory works, right? You enjoy something you hear and you smile. When you hear something interesting about smiling, and repeat this very often, that I had this experience. So I'm running that 2 weeks ago, and I'm listening to some whatever it was, some podcast or someone told a joke. So a shir. And the joke was funny, so I started laughing. My these earbuds, they popped out of my ears, right? And I realized that I've been running for years now, and they've never popped out. It means I never smile. So when I realized this, I started smiling, and they kept coming out. I said, "This was a very scary thought." So So we view things that we do as sort of punishment. You got to get through it. You don't enjoy it, right? You got to enjoy it also. Person learns Torah, they have to smile. They have to enjoy what they're doing. It's not just about physical. And then I got her. Yeah. You can really get the payas. Okay. So here quotes here the Gra, the Vilna Gaon explained. Shema Sha'amru Chazal Torah mateshes kochel shel Adam. Chazal say the Torah weakens man. The Gemara is, I believe, commenting on a story with Reish Lakish and Yochanan. I believe this is the context, if I'm not mistaken. And Reish Lakish was a Baal Tshuva, and Rabbi Yochanan brought him back in. And Reish Lakish was toveling his knife and his weapons because he was a warrior, a gladiator. And Rabbi Yochanan said, "Chelek lo Raisa, come use your strength for Torah." And he said to him, Yochanan was a very good-looking man. He says, "Your beauty should be for women. What are you wasting it in the base medrash?" So he says, "Listen, my sister is even more beautiful than me. You can marry her if you come." I don't know if his sister would be so happy about that, but basically it made the shidduch. So anyway, at that moment, the Gemara says Rish Lakish became weakened when he took on the yoke of Torah. Right? So this is not Chaim Nachman Bialik's matamid, the decrepit old man sitting in the base medrash whose back is falling apart. But there is an element of your energy is drained a little bit when you're taking on the mantle of Torah. So why does it drain your energy? It is life, but it also, if you're, I think, I mean, I don't really know what it means. Honestly, maybe I haven't learned properly, but maybe it means when you're fully engaged in something, you give everything, you give your energy to it, it exhausts you. Right? Well, let's see what he says. So he says, that's the beginning. Beginning, you start to feel a little drained. Far along, once you're learning, Adarabba, Shulchan Aruchs are heavy, especially as you get older and you need the big ones with the big print. And Torah Mosifa Lima. I always like those guys who give shiurim and they bring like 100 books to the stender and then they don't open them up. They just bring them with them. So he says, Mosifa lilomed koach befsharuto lamshich lilmod biyeter say biyeter os. It adds strength. It adds power. So in other words, the Vilna Gaon argues that that's not forever. There's an initial weakening that Rish Lakish experiences when he jumps out of the water, right? And he takes on the yoke of Torah, but eventually it is empowering. Umisupar, and it's told Shemaran Chavetz Chaim, Pagash Pam Zekena Achas Sheod Zachsa Lirot the Gon Mivilna. He once saw an old woman. I love this story. Maybe it's not the story, it's a similar story. Who knew the Gaon of Vilna? Who Shalotan asked her, Ech Hu Haya Nira. How did the Gaon of Vilna look? No, the Gaon was before it would have been to give you the exact years. Also, people. Okay, Vilna Gaon is born in 1720 and passes away in 1797. Right? Chavetz Chaim is born in. This is one of the few pictures they have of him now. They made it colorized. Yeah, that was the butcher. So Yisrael Meir Kagan is born in 1838. Okay. Well, no, he's born, 40 years. Right. And he dies in 1933. So later on, he would have been, again, 40 years. It's not that crazy that he would have met someone who knew no, but he had not himself met him. So he met a woman who was able to see the Vilna Gaon. Again, travel also was not that convenient as well. So what did it look like? Ansalo, Osa Zakena, that older woman said, on a physical level, he's a big guy. When we had the Cholent cook-off, I made the top awardee called Balbasser, or literally the master of meat. But Balbasser in the Gemara means a fat guy.
Right.
Put him on a diet.
What?
We got to put him on a diet.
Yeah.
He's got to stop riding around in that car. Lazy. Okay, Popemobile. Yeah. Anyway, right. So on the physical side, he was a big dude. Talmud, I don't want to say that, but go on. Okay, Talmud Chafetz Chaim. Kitzi Tachan Adavar, Lo Yadua Shachal B'Sach HaKol K'Zayis Pasal. He ate nothing every day. The Vilna Gaon was very makbid. He didn't really eat much. He's not sitting around eating cholent and herring all day long. Ella Sharuchnius. No, he wasn't. He was an angelic figure. He did. I mean, it was well known. Haruchnius the Senes Salome Gam Koach Kashmir. So he's a bigger guy, but he felt, in other words, he felt that it must have been that the spiritual endeavor gave him the ability for whatever he was eating to have sustenance. Okay, story doesn't do it for me, but okay. Yom Shishi, and this is the sixth day. Yom Shema Ached Es Kedusha. They didn't know about trans fats and all that stuff. Yom Shema Ached Es Kedusha Im Kol Yemos HaShavua. A day that unites sanctity with all the days of the week. Ugorim Lakach Shekol Yemos HaChol Yu Kedoshim. All the days of the week are now holy as a result. Shekedusha Shabbos Tehader Lo Rak L'Socha Roknias Shalano Elagam L'Toch Gashmi Shalano. And this is what we were saying prior to Pesach, is that it unites those days. So now, are you in the same place that we're up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, but there is an amazing thing, like someone who knew someone, right? How many steps back the Rav wrote about this, right? Like I knew someone who knew the Vilna Gaon, right? He was this descendant from that limud, right? His grandfather would have been a student of the student, right? So Chaim Volozhiner from the Vilna Gaon, right? Volozhiner taught Chaim Soloveitchik, and then okay, Yosef Atzadik. Now we get to Yesod Friday. Why is that the Ma'ached? Why is that the uniter? Midazu la'ached shamayim ba'aretz. So there's a great unifying event taking place. There's a big gathering in a place called Kyle, somewhere or other, Alabama, wherever Kyle is. Maybe it's in Texas. They're trying to have the biggest gathering of Kyles in history. It's going to be a very diverse crowd. Yes, right. Be like right. I'm saying everyone's going to be very different from one another. Very diverse crowd of Kyles. Yeah, they're all really different. Like they're going to have a Yolish gathering in Kiryas Joel. Yol, Yol Teitelbaum, the Sadmarav. So only Yol, Menachem in Chabad, or Deshaun. Okay, so Midazu la'ached shamayim va'aretz, he midaso muchedet shel Yosef atzadik al pnei shar avos. So this idea, right, of the unifier, right, the great event, the great day that brings everyone together, shamayim va'aretz, he midaso muchedet shel Yosef atzadik. It is the midah of Yosef. Why Yosef more than the other Avot? Yosef was a chiddush. He brought something new to the world. Efshar la'ached gashmis ruchnis. He taught us a new concept that you could unite physical and spiritual. B'midas v'nisayan hu hochiach she'efshar la'hafoch l'tzadik because dafka yedei gashmis. Be a tzaddik through physical, not just through spiritual. Im adam yodea lishmoras atzma michsholim b'gashmis. If you know how to watch yourself from stumbling blocks that are physical, gashmis hofechas etzal ruchnis, then your gashmis becomes ruchnis. Your physical becomes spiritual. That's how he became the king. How does he become king of Egypt or viceroy of Egypt? because of what happens. He's thrown into prison, he interprets the dreams, all because he conquered his Yetzer Hara, who ichid shamayim va'aretz. And that's melucha. It's the most powerful thing you could do is to unite heaven and earth, right? To bring physical koach to God's midos. It's amazing. It's like having a spiritual energy behind your physical actions. Right? You can be the strongest person in the world, but there's a limit unless you have Shimshon's strength, which is godly strength. And that's what happened to Yosef. Yosef's physical experience was imbued with, was spiritually informed, and therefore he's catapulted into fame and heroics and becomes a king. Who is Yesod? When a Jew eats, he or she is engaged in spirituality. Lomei Torah, ko davuk b'Torah. You're connected to Torah. Aja Torah einenu rak kedavar ruchni avuro. The Torah is not just spiritual; it's physical. I actually enjoy it. People start to enjoy Torah. Matzinu pasuk vayechazu et Elokim vayochlu vayishtu. They saw God and they ate and drank. What does that mean? The Targum writes, "Havu chadan bekarbanim ditkablu beravad ki'ilu achlan nishas." They're so happy with their karbanot that hitkablu beratzon achachashu ki'ilu achlu nishas v'asashah. They were bringing karbanos to Hashem, but it was as if they themselves were eating. Bnei Yisrael weren't eating when they brought karbanos. Certain karbanos the kohanim eat. It's true. And the karban Pesach we all eat. For the most part, karban is not something we start to eat. It's not a big feast. We bring something to Hashem. Torah, mincha, karban, but it was the Torah counts it as if we were eating because the joy was so profound. This is how if you're at your own simcha, you don't eat. You ever notice that? Right? How was the food? I don't know. It was my wedding. I didn't eat it though. I don't know how the food was. Why don't you eat? It's not because you're distracted or busy. It's because you're just filled with simcha. And spiritual energy feeds you also. Also, immense sadness can also, some people eat more when they're sad and depressed or anxious. Some people don't eat at all. Certain biological functions become secondary in nature and they're not necessary. But it's also because you're tapping into something profound. Sadness is profound, so is happiness, right? It's spiritual. And if you don't think like sadness or pain could be spiritual, listen to like Leonard Cohen, right? I mean, all his music is very dark and but it's spiritual, right? And so even with like those intense feelings that David HaMelech expresses in Tehillim, right? They're not always joy, but they're intensely spiritual and they fill you up. You don't need food when you're engaged in a godly exchange. So Haim Kosam Simcha B'Kum are saying they were so happy that they didn't have to eat. Kashu Ki'ilu Achlu B'Shas V'Osa Shah. Etzem Yeshiva Beis Medrash. Haisa Kamo Yeshiva Beis Suda. Sitting at Beis Medrash is like sitting at a feast. Shamayim V'Aretz. Eina Minutakim Alimud Geshmak Hana Gashmit. That word Geshmak, which is Yiddish, it's a spiritual energy, and people use it when they look at a buffet and like, oh, it's Geshmak. Such a profanity of such a beautiful word, right? And like, oh, a rack of lamb, it's Geshmak. No, like amazing shear or a buzzing Beit Midrash or an act of incredible, dedication, chesed, and mitzvah. That's Geshmak. That fills you up. And now he goes, Avi Shlita, son. He quotes his father of blessed memory, Od Mishacher Yaldusenu, Hichtir Bano Kol Eis Es Yesod, Azesh Mechrichem Asi Geshmak in learning. He imbued in us that concept of the enjoyment, pleasure of learning. That you should have pleasure from your learning. Ze echad mi'asodot shel Yiddishkeit. Mitzad sheni, shu osek b'gashmiut, shelo yemenu tachas shel meruchnis. Yes, it's true. Spirituality is great, but you're not separate from Gashmius is not separate. It's a physical feeling. It's a joy. It's a simcha. It's like filling you up. Yom Shishu hachana l'Shabbos. In that respect, Friday is the preparatory stage for Shabbos. Mitzad echad, so Yom Shachol. Mitzad sheni kulo kodesh. It's all holy. Yom Yuchad Shukidushay, Hama'achat Shemaimar, it's the day that unites the heavens and the earth. If you want proof, look at how Torah weakens on Friday. Ne'etzem Acharban, on Roam is Godal Kedusha, he's making a comment about the yeshiva world here. Zil Shal Yom, Makadesh, Kol Mekudosh Mechavero, Charev Mechavero. Anyone who is holier than his friend is, what the hell did he doesn't quote the Ramban? Nigeret. He's going off on a tangent. He doesn't like that yeshivas give off in the morning. They shouldn't be learning on Friday. We always had in yeshiva, we always had a Seder Friday morning. A lot of yeshivas do. Some don't.
Why did we do that?
Because people are getting ready for Shabbos, but why should yeshiva boys not learning in the morning? They should have a morning Seder. Nothing, zero. They got to show up and buy lousy flowers and bring it to their host. Flowers are a lot cheaper in Israel. Right. So, wine is cheaper there also. So, but yeah, if you don't have anything to do, you should be learning Torah that morning. Anyway, this is his last critique. He's like that to take away from that from Friday would be a shame because it is a day that is supposed to be spiritual, as we just indicated. Okay, so this is a good place to stop. The next chapter begins Kuflam Gimel, and God willing, continue next time.